Armchair commanders, we call the shots. From our living room thrones where the action's hot. We're the generals of fiction, the masters of war. In silver screen battles with buttered popcorn. Armchair commanders, armchair commanders.
All right, welcome to the Armchair Commanders podcast. My name is Jon.
And I'm Jack.
And this week, we are joined by the guys from the Air War podcast. It's nice to have you with us. Mitchell, do you prefer Mitchell or Mitch?
Why don't we go Mitch and it'll save you a breath?
Okay. Mitch, Sam, welcome. If you'd like to tell the folks a little bit about yourself.
Go ahead, Sam. Englishman first.
Natural superiority. Now, I'm Sam. I'm from the UK, if you didn't guess already by the flags. Unlike Mitch, I don't have an illustrious record with podcasts and filmmaking and all that. And say I'm just your average Joe who been reading history and watching history films since he's a boy, and here I am now after meeting Mitch a year later.
Yeah, Sam and I actually met through... So I'm Mitch. Hi, everybody. Sam and I met through a couple of video games that we play. So if there's anybody out there who's into IL-2 Sturmovik, we play that online. But like Sam and both you fine gentlemen, thank you again for having us on here. I just got afflicted by history, particularly World War II, and just kind of got into content creation when I was in high school before it was called content creation, and formed Pursuit Picks Media, and now it's going strong. We got the Air War podcast, and then Netherlands 44, which is kind of has to do with this movie we'll be talking about today. So I'm really looking forward to this.
That kind of goes into what I was going to ask next, which is why this week's movie, which is Netflix's The Forgotten Battle.
Yeah, well, Bridge Too Far was taken, and this is kind of like, yeah, I want to go watch a Bridge Too Far. No, we have Bridge Too Far at home. Bridge Too Far at home.
and I will rant about this film because I'm not keen on it. So that should be amusing for someone.
You know...
Why? Because they're Dutch?
There's a kind of people I can't stand in this world. People who are intolerant of other cultures and the Dutch. Oh, I made that
basically.
I said that joke from Austin Powers a couple of weeks ago when we did the review of the newest adaptation of All Quiet on the Western Front. Our guest, he is from Belgium. Yeah. Anyways, he is from Belgium, and I said that joke, and he's like, "You do realize that like the was he not? Who the fuck are the Dutch?" Because when I said that to him, he's like, "Oh, the wrong country."
Well, they are two different countries, sadly.
Is it Belgium that's the Dutch, or is it all?
No, that's a separate thing entirely. It's like Diet France.
Fuck. Just, I don't know. I said that joke at him, and he's like, "Wrong country, bud." I'm like, "Well, that'll show me." So,
Also, John, you're coming in a little choppy.
can you hear me now?
No. That was partially a joke, but
That's the Dutch getting it back for making fun of them.
yeah, they've launched their assault.
I fucking hate you, Jack.
They hate me too.
So what got you into the topic of market gardening? Because, you know, I think most history buffs or most people who get into World War II, usually the invasion of Normandy is the big one, obviously, because, you know, we saw that this year, especially with the 80th anniversary. You know, that was big to do back in June, and I know that there's going to be anniversary events in this coming week, or at the time of this recording, it's pre-anniversary, but when this comes out, it'll be a day or two after the anniversary.
Yep.
So I know they have anniversary events, but obviously I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the scale or size that the 80th Normandy events. It kind of doesn't really get the same kind of love.
Definitely, I'd say, because to be fair, I think we've talked about this on our podcast, is that D-Day is the big show, basically. It's got everything you could want in it: naval, air, land. It's full of fantastic stories. And Market Garden does get overlooked, and the war in the Netherlands itself. And so I think it's partly, for me, it's partly A Bridge Too Far, which, I watched as a kid. And it's also just, I like the overshadowed parts of the war. I think that's my personal preference, is that those areas that don't get talked about much.
The forgotten battles, if you will.
Yeah.
There it is.
And roll credits.
Yeah, I think so. Bridge Too Far is what did it for me. That was my favorite war movie as a kid, and still is now. But it's interesting that there's about 9-day period where the intention of the Western Front was on this 60-mile stretch.
Yeah,
and I think that that's kind of what hooked it for me, is that this is really the only operation where it's designed to end the war. That is the very end goal that they were going for with it.
and plus it's a very manageable campaign to look at as well, because it's fairly short and it's in a fairly small space as well, so you can digest it much easier.
Okay. Yeah, that's something that we run into a lot with this podcast is anytime I'm talking to somebody as we're planning to bring them on to discuss a movie, because we did A Bridge Too Far so early on, I probably have to do that multiple times a year where I'm like, nah, I'm sorry, we already did it. But then, it is a lot of people's first choice. It's a super popular film.
It's very grand as well, isn't it? Just the pure scale of it.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think we gave it a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I think all three guys did.
I have to go back, but
I think I must have gave it the low rating of about 4 and a bit.
Well, looky here, we have the 10th dentist with us.
I'll say it is. It is a very good film. It's just a few history bits which I'm like, I wish you hadn't have done that, or I wish you'd included that. But yeah,
well,
for what it is, it's a brilliant film.
Well, and there's very few movies where all you need are last names of actors to tell people who's in it too. I think that helps.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well, what's wrong with this film then? Because I mean, we have, Air Officer Malfoy at the helm of the glider.
Oh, right. Boy.
Man. What about Sergeant Malfoy? What the fuck is wrong with you British guys? Why can't you make your pilot fucking officers?
Because they can't fly properly.
Punk Rock was his jacket though, with the fur collar on it. That was pretty sweet,
wasn't it?
Yeah, that's not the only cool thing he had going for him.
Yeah, and so I think it was a very wasted character, sadly, because the way he talked and how he was fair. Character was funny, it was interesting, and he just didn't get any depth to him. So,
yeah, the only depth was shot into him from that pistol.
Damn. And then all the depth poured out of him.
I don't know. I enjoyed watching post Harry Potter, actors who were in Harry Potter. I love seeing their post Harry Potter film careers.
Yeah.
I find it super interesting, and also it kind of messes with your brain a little bit to see them playing a character so far out of what made them famous.
Yeah. Tom Felton, he did play a few bad guys, and that morally
mold into the bad guy role. So it was interesting to see him in just regular normal guy role. But Rupert Grint also did a World War II film,
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
and that one was about Norway.
I still haven't got around to watching that.
Yeah, that's a good flick.
Daniel Radcliffe, he did probably the most interesting thing I've seen him do since Harry Potter was he did this one, I think it's called Imperium, but basically he's like an FBI agent that infiltrates a like neo-Nazi group.
I'd have to check that out. I've never heard of that.
It's weird seeing Daniel Radcliffe with a shaved head yelling racial epithets.
Uh-huh.
It's a little shocking.
Yeah, should have stayed in school, Harry.
Yeah.
This is what you get for not going back for your last year.
Stay in school, kids.
Well, Daniel Radcliffe did do a war film while he was filming Harry Potter. It was a little TV film over here called Jon and Jack.
That's only one film?
Yeah. You're Kipling's son.
And instead of growing up to become a wizard, Harry Potter became a grand wizard.
You guys,
I was like, I'm surprised Malfoy was on the British side. Like, after being with like Wizard Hitler, you think he would have joined the Germans?
Yeah, yeah, he should have been the Gestapo guy.
Death Eater. But yeah, I was gonna say this earlier, and this Daniel Radcliffe's career is fascinating to me because I grew up watching him, and it was like, "You're a wizard, Harry." And then later on, he's like fucking guns attached to his hand with nails. He's a corpse that he has a corpse. He's a corpse that gets a boner and farts in Swiss Army Man. And then he's a fucking white nationalist fed boy in Imperium, and it's just crazy.
He's had a very interesting career.
Yeah.
One of my favorites, like one of the earliest TikToks that I ever saw was basically it's Daniel Radcliffe, like the actual Daniel Radcliffe, and he's in this room with this dude who's just like, he's doing push-ups, but they're like handstand push-ups. And the entire time, this guy's just doing these handstand push-ups. And he's like, you don't impress me. This isn't cool. You think you're funny? I was the most recognizable face in a multi-billion-dollar film series. I've kissed Emma Watson. I won a pony, this, that, and the other. And then finally he just loses his shit. He's like, God damn it, Jim. But anyways, Invasion of Holland. Oh my God. At first I didn't really get it. I was like, why is this called the Forgotten Battle? Because one of the earliest scenes, it's like, oh, Holland, and then they're doing the like big map briefing room scene that we see in every fucking World War II movie. And they're like, Operation Market Garden. I'm like,
Oh, he said it. He said it.
yeah. I'm like, okay, well, where's the part of this where it's something that we didn't know about? And then it actually goes into like, no, this is about seizing like Antwerp and shit. And I'm like, oh yeah, I've never actually remember seeing a film about seizing Antwerp. Also, when you read about World War II or talk about World War II, that's not even like the top 20 list of things you talk about with people. It's like seizing the port of Antwerp for logistical ease of operations. Like,
wait, so what was that place? It starts with the W. Welkern. That's it.
Yeah.
Was that the island?
I don't know. I don't speak what
that Antwerp was on.
Yeah, that was part of the estuary.
Oh, okay.
Estuary, yeah.
So you with your big fancy fucking river words.
Well, professor.
He pushes up glasses.
But I kind of do like that this movie focused on a small part of the grand operation. See, I thought that whatever. W Town was the.
That's what W Town.
I thought that was the like podunk little town that they were taking. That all those people died just for that one town, but no, it was Antwerp. So more the fool's eye.
Yeah, that's basically the end result. Is because like they explained at the very beginning of the film with that map sequence, is that yes, you've got Antwerp, but you can't bloody use it because the Germans have the entire riverfront. So it's like it's a bit useless for the next couple of months until they actually get round to clearing it.
Well, and that briefing scene is one of the things that sold it for me, because the marketing team who did the trailer for this movie had me sold it was a Market Garden movie. So I was like, all right, let's go watch this. And it was not what I thought it was going to be. But hey, I mean, props to those guys.
The old switcheroo on you.
Yeah.
Totally sneaky.
Premium false advertisement.
I think that's Oh, go on.
Or you can continue your thought.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that's sort of the problem I have with the film is the opposite of Mitch. It's like they started writing the Market Garden film, then got bored and decided to do something else, but they couldn't be asked to get rid of what they'd already written. That's how it seems to me. And it's like, well, what's the bloody point?
Well, I think they put it in to like entice people because people are more familiar with Market Garden, and that's why it seemed like it was kind of a low rent bridge too far, right? That's people in with the battle they've heard of.
Yeah, but
Right.
it just, you can draw people in all the way, I suppose, because, how many people can know about the war in the Netherlands apart from Market Garden itself? And it's like, that could have been an interesting draw. Yes, granted, the general population might not have been as interested, but for history books, you've got them like that. Well, you've got them like that anyway, because it's a war film.
Right.
But it's just, and that's the whole scenes that lead up to the Battle of the Causeway is just absolutely god-awful for me. The British parts, anyway.
This is why I wanted him to go on so he could talk about the British parts and rage.
Well, we can talk about the British part. Before I get into the scene that I absolutely love in this movie, the thing that kills me is obviously like one of the earliest scenes is a practice glider run. And, our main character does a stupid maneuver with it, and then he gets his ass chewed out for it.
Yeah.
And then immediately going to like the actual glider drop scene where they're getting flagged. They're like, you're going to have to do the thing we told you was stupid 10 minutes
Right.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
What the twist?
my issue with that is like there was like that little Top Gun scene where he was like, "You're dangerous, Maverick. You're off the mission." And then literally less than a minute later, he walks out like, "Oh, got it resolved. Let's go."
Yeah, from his dad. Did your dad ask or say it was okay? Yeah, he did. Oh, great. Let's go. I mean, that's the writing you came up with for that scene?
That fucking scene, Jesus
Jesus Christ.
Be sure to go ask your dad. Okay.
Mom.
Your mom will sleep well tonight knowing you're not going to go.
Fuck your dad.
I don't even think I need to say anything about that fucking scene. It's just ridiculous.
I did love the banter between the tow plane pilots and them. They're like, "Oh, would you like to be Daddy's favorites?" Like,
that was pretty funny.
I'm like, that's also absolutely something that would be.
Yeah, they put that line in there for us.
From my point of view, it was just nice seeing an English accent that wasn't London or upper class, because it was a proper regional Midlands northern accent. So that was nice.
Yeah, that went over my head. You guys all sound the same.
Wow, racist.
I'm sure he probably thinks the same about us.
Okay.
I don't like those Asian assholes down south.
I'm a guest. I'm being polite.
No other British guest has been polite to us.
Well, where I met Mitch is full of Americans, and I'm like, I have no choice to be polite in this situation.
Jack has a running conspiracy theory, if you'd like to share it with them.
See, a lot of our guests, a disproportionate amount of them, have been U.S. Southerners or Englishmen. So I think that Jon is conspiring with the Confederacy and the Crown to retake America. I have absolutely no proof for this other than my own suspicions and paranoia, but to me that's enough.
We need to silence this man now.
Yeah, he knows too much. Do it. If my audio is just, if I suddenly drop out of this podcast, you'll know why. He found me.
Yes, MI6 has been busy.
And whatever the hick equivalent of the CIA in the South is, oh, who'd we lose? Shit, Jon. But
Jon.
anyway, hopefully he'll rejoin. So I guess that this is on me to be the host now. So yeah, the Top Gun-esque scene.
What did you guys think of the CGI? I thought the CGI was pretty good from like inside the cockpit.
Honestly, yeah. Like,
Did you guys notice that I like shit out there for a moment?
yeah, I took over as host for a brief second.
Yeah.
Okay. Fucking worked for me. Sorry about that. Some
We
reason
were just
my
talking about
We forgive you.
yeah. We were just talking about what we all thought of the CGI during that aviation sequence.
I thought it was pretty crackerjack.
I might not have been the best, but that was honestly my favorite team. And that's just because I'm a glider nerd. Like my favorite thing about, and I've talked about it plenty of times on previous episodes, but like when we talk about like Normandy and stuff, like I love the story of like Pegasus Bridge. Like I just get like, that's my nerd boner is for fucking glider warfare. So to have a movie with like a fucking intense glider combat action scene, I'm like, fuck yeah, all the way. I don't care if it looks shitty.
See, from my point of view, this is probably one of the worst depictions of gliders. Because, firstly, you've only got about 3 blokes in the back of that glider. You're meant to have a full bloody platoon in there. I mean, I don't know what bridge those 3 blokes think they're taking.
See, they got laid off the mission because they also did the same maneuver, but since they didn't have dads to help them.
I was gonna say those are the guys that they didn't shower, so they weren't allowed on.
They didn't fill out their parents' permission forms.
Those are the kids who weren't invited to hang out in the back of the bus, and
See, my interpretation of that was that's just how strapped for manpower England was, but even still, you got to find like some dipshit 17 or 18-year-old to fill out the seats, right?
Yeah, well, to be fair, 1st Airborne Division, which is, the chaps we see in the gliders, they'd been sat in England from about 1943. So they should be up to strength. So where the rest of them are. So he does that role so that it releases the tension on the ropes so they can release. Would that not increase the tension because it's slowing the glider down even more?
I don't know. I've never studied physics. I attended one physics class in college before dropping it.
Well, Mitch is our aeronautical expert.
Oh, I don't know. It made for a great scene, though. I
speaking of dropping out of classes, I remember at one point, so my major was in history, and for whatever reason, at one point I was like, fuck it, I'll be an addiction studies minor, because, minors don't really mean anything. And the addiction studies minor, you had to take classes at a certain order. So I got the first 3 done. And then when I got to the 4th class, they're like, okay, you're going to have to spend 5 Saturdays shadowing a therapist or something. And I'm like, fuck this. Drop the class, drop the minor. I was like, I'm not doing that.
And that's the major I graduated in was addiction studies. Magna cum laude, I might add. No big deal.
Library tech.
Shut the fuck up. That's how it's going for me. I will have none of your consultations. And I like to refer to myself as a librarian. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll let you have that.
Someday I'll learn how to read.
You don't need to know how to read. You help blind people.
Yeah, audiobooks. Or just listen. I can't even do that right.
So, kind of transitioning our conversation a little bit. What did we think of the underground like narrative? Because this film is, we follow 3 or 4 different people and see how all their experiences kind of converge in one moment. It felt to me like the underground intel part of this was a significantly larger part of the film than I personally would have liked. But what did you guys think of that segment?
For me, I think that should have been the film. It should have been a film set in the Netherlands about the resistance, about the occupation, because that's what the Dutch specialise in when it comes to war films. And then they should have either done a Battle of the Scheldt or just left it, in my opinion, which I think would have been better. But I liked how they represented it. But it's like I can't even remember any of the characters' names, to be honest. I just didn't have any connection to them.
I also just can't pronounce their names. I don't.
Yeah, it's all
word blog.
If we haven't alienated our Dutch listeners now, we definitely have. Though to be fair, what the fuck are they going to do about it?
Don't
Go make
no,
a waffle or something. I don't know. Was that a different country?
See, the Belgians, you don't want to piss those guys off.
No, they're badass son of a bitches.
Oh, Jesus Christ, what they did to the Congo. They literally originated the term were crimes against humanity.
Yeah. It's worse because it's what they got the Congo to do to itself. That's horrific.
What are you talking about? The Congo became a doctor.
It took me a second.
Yeah, that was a good one, wasn't it?
That was a spicy one. Oh, F and A.
Mitch, what did you think of the resistance aspect of this film?
I think the reason I liked it, I think the reason they didn't focus on that so much is because there was another Dutch war movie that specifically focused on the resistance, and that was Black Book, which came out like 15 years ago or so. It's a Paul Verhoeven movie, so if anybody loves like RoboCop or Basic Instinct, if you're into that,
We're big Starship fans around here.
okay, yeah,
Yep.
okay, yeah, great.
Yep, sci-fi.
Yeah, so and that's probably the better movie to tell that story. My problem was just there were too many goddamn storylines in this. Like, what would I think it's more so like, what would you take out?
The 3 main characters like weren't even in the same room until the very end, weren't they?
Yeah,
That's right.
I mean, yeah, we did have a couple of scenes with the Dutch Nazi dude and what's her face? Tone? Tone?
Tone. Yeah.
Tone. Yeah, her. But yeah, for most of the movie, it was just separate stories.
If I was to remove any segment of this, I don't mind multiple main characters. Like, so a long time ago, we did Generation War, which was a German miniseries that followed multiple different teens experiencing different aspects of wartime Germany. And I thought that was a beautifully done miniseries. I think the reason why that worked, though, is because it all is from one side or from one, air quote, country perspective. I think the issue here is because you have English and then Belgium and then German perspectives, it's hard to align. I think it's hard to align yourself with like making yourself want to care about those characters. Because I think when you diverge into different sides of the conflict, it becomes more like, obviously the Nazis are the bad guys and we shouldn't be rooting for them. But when you have a film where your main German character is a very relatable person, you're like, oh, he's a good person. He's trying to do the right things and he keeps getting fucked over. Now you're having this like, well, the British are the good guys, but also like my main German's a good guy. So like, I don't necessarily hate the Germans, which that's not a sentence you should be fucking saying during a World War II film. So for me, if they had just kept it to one side or the other, I think that's what would have made this like a really good film. So I personally would have cut out the German soldier perspective.
Yeah.
I will say I loved the hospital scene with him.
Yeah.
You know, where he's talking with the, you know, jaded, bitter, you know.
Lieutenant Dan?
Yeah. Lieutenant Dan. Over Lieutenant Dan. Overlieutenant Dan has more legs.
I was hoping you someone else.
Oh, we're gonna have to make a fucking meme poster with Overlieutenant Dan, but it's almost as good as a couple of weeks ago we did Barefoot Gen, which is a anime film as about the Hiroshima bombing.
Oh, I've heard of that.
On that, we made the joke about like, have you ever seen the meme of like Thomas the Tank Engine and next to it is the Gustav whale gun? And it's like, this is Thomas's angry cousin, Gustav.
Mm-hmm.
And so we made a joke about like Thomas, you know, being surprised by his war crime committing brother being gay.
There's
And our guest that week, he's a comic book artist, and he's like, I'm going to draw that up.
so we got a guy canceled, is what he's saying.
Like he texted me the other day. He's like, "Hey man, I almost got that commission done for you." I'm like, "I did not commission it."
Let me just put up a degree of separation here.
No
I'm
paper
like,
trail.
I poured it, and I want to see it. Like, I did not commission this.
But there's this really fucked up video on YouTube that it's called Thomas Was Just Following Orders, and it shows Thomas the Tank Engine on trial at Nuremberg for ferrying prisoners to and from Auschwitz. That's literally the crux of the video, but holy fuck. Oh my god. I was just deceased.
That is part of the reason why I liked the hospital scene, is because Overlieutenant Dan is talking like, you know, he's super jaded and he's like, I used to be a guard at the Kelmo camp, and I've seen how everybody has a bit of monster in them. And I'm like, that was just a brilliant line in this entire film.
Yeah.
And it really made me want to explore that character more. But obviously he's just there to kind of prop up our German main character to start, you know, defying, you know, the norm, if you will.
Right. Yeah. Nothing like a pep talk from an SS guy with his
Another thing you should not be saying in a film. I really like that SS guy. Like, well, you go to a World War II film, they're the bad guys. You should not like them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gonna sit on that one for a second.
Need to process it. I understand.
I'll need to take a drink first. Just a quick moment. Ponder on that one.
It's a shame they didn't show more of that guy, and I think this is where this movie's storyline would have worked better as a mini-series. Did anybody get that thought while they were watching it?
I definitely,
Yeah.
To end.
just because they definitely, I felt like the pacing in this movie was kind of weird, and oftentimes it felt on the slower side.
I agree.
So I think I think if it was a miniseries, they definitely could have addressed the pacing issues.
Yeah, just and you can tell the editors were strapped, and this must have been a really difficult cutting room floor job, because I think there was a lot more they wanted to show and explain, and there's so much going back and forth that a lot of characters were, pretty shallow, unfortunately.
Sod the characters. This whole thing, the name of the film is Forgotten Battle. It's the Battle of the Scheldt. And
I
there
forgot,
are
I'm sorry.
there's no main Canadian characters. The battle is
There's like
down 20 minutes.
a little lunch.
Hold on. There is a Canadian character whose name happens to be Bill or Will or Phil, or it rhymes with the main guy.
Yeah, sorry, the one who got shot.
Yeah.
No one cares about. Yeah, that's the only
Canuck.
proper Canadian. Yeah,
Yeah, who introduces himself as a Canuck. I thought that was interesting.
exactly. And
Wait.
it's just
Are you guys Canadian? No shit. It's on his fucking shoulder.
Yeah,
Oh no, we just like these uniforms.
yeah.
it seems like they missed out on the whole point of, this is about the forgotten battle of the Battle of the Scheldt. Let's not cover it until the last 20 minutes.
Yeah,
Fucking point
that
is
was
that?
that was an odd choice where there were 35 minutes left by the time we got to the
Yeah.
Scheldt.
They should have just made that William Sinclair character a Canadian and had him, stick with the Black Watch of Canada the whole time up until the Battle of the Causeway. At least that would have fixed the problems with those scenes, for me anyway.
Yeah, take the airborne guys out of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. I can't believe I'm trying to get less British representation in more film.
Yeah.
I will say, I was like, okay, there's potential here. Like we kind of got, I was like, we got like a commandos behind enemy line situation. I'm like, this could be good. But then we literally get like, it seemed very Saving Private Ryan ripoff especially with our, the scene where they leave to go try to find a boat. They're not successful.
Yeah.
They come back to their safe house only to find that 2 German soldiers are in there with Air Sergeant Malfoy. And they're holding him hostage basically. And then we get like pretty much the exact same as the the Upham scene from Saving Private Ryan, where it's like, you could save your buddy, but you fucked up,
He did have a tough call to make there, where he didn't know if the other dude was going to come barging down the hallway, but also his buddy was right there and struggling.
Yeah.
And I just want to put this out there for the record, John. If we were in that situation, you were fighting a German in chest deep water in a flooded Dutch basement, I trust you to kick the shit out of that Nazi.
I wasn't talking about that moment. I was talking about when Malfoy was yelling, shoot him.
Oh yeah, shoot him. Well, Malfoy gives it
a clear shot. I don't care.
Yeah, he's
Bullshit, did he not have a clear
Yeah,
shot?
that guy's head was like the size of a watermelon, and he was like, it was like lean over here, so it looks like there's a very clear shot. So it wasn't convincing.
That's what I never really understood about hostage takers. It's like, okay, you've killed the hostage. You've now
you have no leverage.
You have nothing to keep you alive.
Being held hostage by Private Wassermelon.
That's true.
Couldn't find a helmet big enough for him.
I mean, he wasn't wearing one. Check it out.
Something else that didn't make sense to me is like, this dude is yelling out. He's like, I don't remember the German's name, so I'm just going with the German standard.
Yeah.
Like, Hans, what is happening? Hans is like, dude, why aren't you leaving your fucking room and checking on your buddy who's obviously fighting for his life?
Yeah, well, and clearly you've got the drop on Malfoy. He's wounded. You've taken his gun away. It's, you can go down the hall and take a look. I don't know. And I think that was the problem I had with this movie, is that there were too many instances that took me out of it.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys felt the same.
Yeah, I mean, there just seemed to be a little bit of lazy writing at times.
I was never in the bloody film. I couldn't stand. Yeah, I just there are a few things I can say good things about the film. It looks beautiful. It's very technically just brilliant. In fact, they don't pull the punches on the violence. And then during that Battle of the Causeway scene, you know, it's fair. It's realistic enough as you can get in a reenacted scenario.
Yeah, I mean, at least like the combat itself did not seem cheesy for me. Like, I just it's not very often you get to see an 88 in a World War II film, and like so when they had that, like that's also one of my like history boner moments.
Yeah, especially using that role, right? Typically we see it in an anti-aircraft gun setup, but as a field gun, you know, fighting off infantry was was really cool to see.
It's kind of like the scene from Band of Brothers where Spears is like charging across like Floyd.
Yeah.
You're like, and he was running past an 88. Like that's a fucking cool set piece. I get there's not hardly any of them left, but like let's get more 88 action or two films.
Yep.
It was also something that like I really appreciated about like the first episode of Masters of the Air was, you know, we always get the flak scene in World War II films, but we never see where it's actually coming from. It's kind of this just like mythological threat that just match ears.
Yeah, force of nature.
The black clouds taste like death. So of our multiple story arcs, which story arc is your favorite?
Christ, that's a difficult question. From my point of view, I can't say I have one. I can't stand any of them. No, I tell you what. Draco Malfoy, because he gets shot in the head. That's the only thing I like.
Brutal.
Yeah.
That's kind of something on a watch list. Like, does your country do watch this? I don't know.
Well, Jack's on one already after telling us about his thoughts. So
yeah, but funny you mentioned that. A hobby of mine that I've taken up since working at the library is trying to get put on a watch list through ordering different books. And so far I have Guide to Guerrilla Warfare, Anarchist's Cookbook, and I can't find it, but my next is something called The Poor Man's James Bond, which is jury-rigging a bunch of jank-ass bombs and weapons and traps. And I also have the entire guide from the Republic of South Africa on unorthodox warfare.
I thought you also got the like Rhodesian survival guide or something like that.
Might have, but yeah, the South African. It's like a 3-book series on like urban warfare, weaponry, and rural shit. It's the piece de resistance, in my opinion. But I kind of stopped doing that because I'm going to Egypt next year, and I probably won't be able to fly if I keep doing this shit.
Now you've just got to worry about if someone starts taking out the book.
Books and some airline tickets.
Should we draw the line at all the bleach he's got?
I don't know. So before you guys logged on, I should preface this by in a previous life I used to be a first responder and I was a fireman. So like 9/11 jokes don't fit well with me. I hate them with a passion. But he sent me a meme before you guys came on that it was too good. It was a 9/11 joke meme, and I was like, this is too good, even for me. I'm like, I can't not find this spot. But it was a picture of the Tower of Babel, but it was 2 Towers of Babel, and it was a biblically accurate angel flying into one of them.
I'm like, this is the kind of shit that gets you banned, Jack.
And it's funny you mention that because last week, after 10 years, I finally got an account banned from Reddit.
You must have tried incredibly hard to do that.
Oh, I was given numerous warnings, and I was banned from several subreddits. The one I'm most proud of is I went to the Chinese subreddit and posted a picture and a meme about the Tiananmen Square massacre, and the mods got pissed at me. And they like messaged me a whole paragraph of, well, your post means nothing. You've accomplished nothing. You're just a blah, 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 blah. And then I called them tanky cucks, and then I got in a lot of trouble for that.
Warnings is feed the troll. Clearly, I'm not trying hard enough if you haven't banned me yet.
Yeah.
So the story I just thought of this. My favorite story arc was the one Dutch guy who was in the glider, and his name was I think that's the one name that I remember, the one Dutch name I remember. But what I like that guy's story arc because he was super reliable, and he stuck with them until he didn't want to go in the water.
Oh my God. That pissed me
You don't know how
off.
to swim. You don't know how to swim.
Yeah, for sure. And then they stole his life jacket, which you knew that was going to come into play. A little foreshadowing there, but I thought that was a really interesting choice.
So he's okay.
I was really waiting
Go
for the
on.
scene where the guys that deserted them, like I was waiting for them to come across, like when he came across the Canadians, I was fully expecting when they were in that barn, he'd be like, I fucking see those assholes, and like start to fight with them, and it never came. I'm like, huh, way to subvert expectation, guys.
Yeah.
Well, with how much they crisscross and intersected storylines, I bet you there was a scene in the original script somewhere that had that.
Also, I'm not sure even if they were like somehow still in there, I would have been able to notice them, but
It was hard to tell who was who a little bit.
it's those damn camouflage uniforms. Everybody looks the same.
Yep, that's true.
Although one of those characters who got away, the actor's well known to me, Mitch, because he's from Rogue Heroes and Our First World War. So is it Our First World War? Our World War? Something like that?
Our World War.
That's it, yeah.
It's a World War I miniseries that BBC did.
Is Rogue Heroes good? I've seen like YouTube. I've seen bits of it because YouTube will show me like best of clips, and I'm like, oh, this seems kind of, but I've never actually sat down to watch it.
Have you watched Peaky Blinders?
Yeah, I mean, I watched 4 or 5 episodes of it. I liked it, but also it was one of those like, it's a big project.
Yeah,
and it just,
I've been meaning to get back into that, but I'm just so far behind on my watch schedule.
Yeah. If you put the time into it, it's worth it. And if you like Peaky Blinders, you would definitely like Rogue Heroes and vice versa.
The weird thing is that like, me and Jack, we went to college together, and that's one of the reasons why we started this podcast together, is because when we were in college, we were really big about like, we'd watch a movie together like every single night because we're college kids and we have nothing better to do, like, because obviously we're not going to study.
Yeah, that's for nerds.
So
And it shows.
we'd watch a movie like every night. Like we loved consuming media together, and so that's how we got together on this. Was like, I have a history degree that I don't actually use, and I miss doing movie night with my college buddies. So that's how this podcast came about.
Mm-hmm.
But since starting this podcast, my media consumption has like gone through the basement because because now I'm like, I have to watch X, Y, or Z thing this week. I'm like, I'm not sure. I don't really enjoy other TV shows or other movies like freely like I used to, because I'm on such a strict like, oh, we're doing this episode this week or this episode next week. So like my media consumption's really actually drastically gone down since doing this podcast. Yeah. And I do it for you, our loving fans.
Yeah, or you bastards.
Well, I'm grateful. I've been enjoying your guys' but in fact, I think my favorite episode so far is Tapped, because I also have a
I'm so glad that there's actually somebody who's familiar with that film.
Yeah.
Even I've seen that film.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Well, thank goodness, yeah. On that fucking film.
I mean, to be honest, I hadn't seen it before this podcast.
I remember Jack showed up to an episode one time, and he's like, "I gotta be honest, John. I only watched half of it. It's so fucking boring."
Which one was that again?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, I remember it was one you didn't particularly care for either.
No, it was something fucking stupid. Wait a minute. I don't remember. I'll have to go back. But yeah, there was an episode where you were like, I can only kind of participate.
No,
That was probably the Wind Talkers episode.
No,
no.
Windwalkers is so bad it's good.
That's true. That is true.
It's not a good movie, but it is entertaining.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can sit there and finish a case of beer real quick.
Yay, Native American representation in movies. I just wish it was better.
You got a movie. What more do you want?
Land back.
Sorry, best I can do is a blanket.
Box on it.
I don't know if you ever caught this in one of our previous episodes, but Jack is actually of native descent. I don't know. So I love, and we went to school in South Dakota together, which is also a very native population heavy state. So I like giving him a lot of shit.
Wouldn't be able to know.
I'll send him a text message that just says Custer did nothing wrong.
Yeah, but I feel bad for being here now because it was the British who gave the natives blankets with smallpox in it. So I'm like,
You see, and it's funny you bring that up because I also have a bit of Irish in me. So when I tell people that, I'm like, it was rough growing up because all the British kids would beat me up.
well, you shouldn't have tried to blow up the bloody place, should you?
Well, you shouldn't try to have your own land like an arrogant bastard.
Man, government, the right to choose. You don't need those sort of things, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, who needs it?
Was there anything in this film for you guys that really stuck out to you that you're like this pisses me off? Like,
Other than the whole movie, apparently, Sam.
Yeah.
We will be here all day if I answer that question.
Give us the spark notes. Pick one you really, really hate.
That is really difficult just because there is so much shit in this film that it's hard to pick one. All right, I'll pick an obscure one. There is an officer we see when the Canadian officers are talking in the barn. One of them is a Scottish officer. He's from 52nd Lowland Division. 52nd Lowland Division takes over from the Canadians and clears out the island because guess what? The Canucks can't bloody do it. So the British have to come and save their asses again. And that's just one thing I would have liked to see was do that. Because they just don't get a mention above a brief, obscure reference.
so your biggest complaint is that the Canadians didn't need help from the British.
They did need help from the British and it wasn't shown.
I mean, okay, fair.
I mean, if I can pick something else like the Enfields are wrong, or the glider is completely empty, or there's a random hurricane flying in that CGI
they
shot.
didn't have that flavor of maple syrup in their in their kits.
But I think overall, it's just I don't care for the movie. That's my biggest problem with it. Is that it's just I don't enjoy it. I'm not attached to any of the characters. I'm not in the slightest bit interested whether her brother gets shot or not. Just fucking end him already.
Well, so that's an interesting sequence because that I had a hard time with because they've been under occupation for 4 years and their dad is just like, the Germans are reasonable. We will be able to negotiate it, and they'll slap him with
I know how to
charge.
down.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's exactly what he said. And it's just like, come on. And again, that's another one of those things. Throw it on the pile of stuff that takes you out of it.
The Nazis lied to me.
Yeah.
How could they?
What the beast?
At first, I think the thing that, and this is going to be a weird thing to hit on, but when, like, it's the 1940s, everybody fucking smokes. Like, I get that. The only person, correction, there's two people I see smoke. One is our Canadian, because our person makes friends with him by lighting his cigarette.
Yep.
And then the other one is Draco Malfoy.
Right.
And it's like, nobody else smokes in this film except for those two characters.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first see Draco Malfoy smoking, it took me out of the moment, because I was like, oh, he's a tough, hard guy. He's got to light up a cigarette before he chews this guy's ass out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? Like, not because everybody smokes in the 40s, but because this is going to be a character trait of him.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep. Yeah, very tropey.
like that to me, I was just like, this is stupid.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, in that briefing room, 90% of those guys should have been fucking smoking at the moment.
Yeah, there should have been a cloud above all. Well,
Yeah.
that was one of the things that Masters of the Air got hammered on too, right? When they had their briefing scenes, is that hardly anybody's smoking. But yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, the good old days when everybody smoked on air.
Back when it was good for you.
Hey, Teddy Roosevelt cured his asthma with cigars, so
Maybe our ancestors were onto something.
that was a doctor's recommendation, just like it was doctor's recommendation for Ulysses Grant to treat his fucking throat cancer with cigars. Oh, didn't really work out for that one, but
Yeah.
it cured asthma, okay? The Armchair
Well,
Commanders
that's mathematics,
podcast
so I'll
like to
give that a
state
go.
that we're not medical professionals.
Oh, yeah, no, in no meaning of the term. I mean, well, actually, you are a paramedic.
Shut
but
up.
If you say smoking,
No, not today. I'm not.
you were.
I have no medical advice to give. Don't listen to me. Last thing I need is for my non-sponsored podcast to get sued.
I mean, you have some qualifications, more of a qualifications than I do. I mean, the only medical training I have is prairie medicine, which involves whiskey, painkillers, and sleep.
And don't forget amputation.
I mean, yeah, you can't have an infected hand if it's off. You're talking to a guy who, like, stepped on a bottle when he was in middle school. The shard of glass went into my foot, and I never got it sewn up or anything, and just poured some hydrogen peroxide on it, wrapped it up, and my parents called it good.
That's
Never-
the medical story you want to go with, Jack, not the...
Never mind. Okay, yes, it did get infected later, but...
You are missing two toes, Jack, and you went with, oh, I stepped on a glass bottle once.
Well, I mean, that we didn't treat that with prairie medicine. We actually went to a hospital, like, you know, sissies. It's got to bite that shit off.
That Malfoy lasted as long as he did with a
Honestly, same.
badly hurt as he was
Yeah.
in this film.
What exactly was his injury? Like shrapnel in his gut or something?
Yeah.
His leg, right?
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
The German's the guy that had a splinter in his tummy.
Oh, his little tummy hurt.
Oh, see, do you need some schnapps to feel better?
My God.
Sam, what did you think of the British guys up and leaving their comrades?
It's
I'm just popping a quarter in the machine here.
Honestly, you asked it. I was thinking about it. I was just waiting. Yeah. One of us said it.
they're paratroopers. Well, apparently, although they've not either, but whatever.
Okay, so I have a moment of pedantry for you here. Apparently, they were all wearing glider pilot. Whatever. Yeah,
Gliders go through the air.
they were all glider pilots, though. Like,
Oh.
why were they all glider pilots riding in the glider? Shouldn't they be flying? Yeah, that was. I thought that was really odd when I looked
You
that
know
up.
what I mean? The British scenes are just so shit.
That was another thing that bugged me was like, so part of the banter between the tow pilots and the glider pilots, they're like, oh, you're a glider pilot. Nobody expects you to come back. You're not worth anything. And I'm like, the British made take Normandy, like as soon as take like Pegasus Bridge, as soon as that unit was relieved, the fucking glider pilots were on a boat back to England. Like they didn't stay around and fight.
Well, on say 6th Airborne, who was the British division that landed in Normandy, they stayed up until they were actually in the ground role up until Market Garden started. Then they went back to England. But the glider pilots straight back because they were
Because it's a special place of shithole.
Yeah,
yeah, and it's like
our
no,
fucking pilots, doing patrol.
yeah.
it's like it's just to show how brilliant they were, not just as pilots but as soldiers. Ian and Oosterbeek, the glider pilots formed roughly a battalion-sized formation and were on the perimeter the entire time. And we don't see that. We just see them as, disposable, don't matter, not important.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad you brought that part up because those guys, for the Brits at least, they were trained as infantry as well.
Yeah.
Or that really wasn't the case with the American glider pilots. They were given a primary weapon once they landed, but they were really pushed off to the side as soon as they landed. Whereas they were more infantry based once they hit the ground.
Well, to be fair, it used to be an armor, mate. We were fucking desperate for anyone. We were taking cooks at that point.
But that's the problem I had though, is that the movie gives you the idea that they're just a bunch of clowns.
Yeah. And then the glider pilot regiment,
As opposed to being like the World War II equivalent to special forces.
Yeah, right.
yeah, and so they were very highly motivated, very highly skilled. And they're not just going to off and off in the middle of the fucking night and disappear and never to be seen again. It's like, what was their intention when they left? As in, from the character's point of view, what do you do when you leave?
Yep.
Where do you go? And then
Actually,
the main...
It was the hard night of drinking. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
They were completely and utterly plastered. That's their excuse, right? Okay.
So speaking of what are you, Jack? What are you drinking tonight?
Don't judge me for this, but actually judge away. I don't give a fuck. But Bud Light.
Classic.
I make no compunctions about its quality.
Sam, what are you drinking this evening?
I have a sour apple liqueur with soda.
Ooh.
And I've been sophisticated until I put it in a pint glass just because I want to drink lots and I can't be asked to keep filling it up.
I think you're the first Englishman not to be drinking like a heavy beer.
I'm not a beer man. I cannot stand beer.
That's fair. I remember the first time we had an Englishman on, it was the actor Matthew Leach.
Yeah, Band of Brothers. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love his podcast.
Schwarzy.
Albert.
So so we had him on, and when we're talking about our drinks, I had the time I was drinking my favorite beer, which is it's a raspberry flavored Kolsch that's brewed locally, and it has a stupid name. It's called Princess Yum Yum. And he's like, man, if I was in the same room as you, I'd be kicking you in the head. I'm like,
What a British thing to say.
yeah,
I'm like,
I expected that.
Fair enough.
Mitch, have you had anything? I know you said you weren't a big drinker.
No, I'm having a glass of water, which tastes like Bud Light. So that's what I'm having tonight.
2 Bud Lights.
Yep.
I'm trying something different today. A recurring drink I've had on the show is Mountain Dew recently came out with a hard version of their drinks. So there was a couple of episodes where I was drinking Mountain Dew Baja Blast Hard. And it was like, man, if I was in the same room as you, I'd be kicking you in the head. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, oh, I expected that. Well, apparently Arizona Tea has also jumped on this train. So today I'm drinking Arizona Premium Spiked Beverage Hard Green Tea.
Oh,
So we're
really good.
sponsored by Arizona Green Tea, but we could be.
Yeah.
Please.
I used to love Arizona iced tea.
I saw a thing the other day that's like, Arizona tea is one of the most unhealthy drinks you can have. I'm like, no shit. It has like 100 grams of sugar.
Yeah, there's a reason they're 99 cents and they print that on the can.
Yeah, it's meant to taste good and be cheap. It's not meant to be healthy.
Yeah, I'm not picking it up after the gym, people.
Oh, I think it's about time we rate this film. As you've caught previous episodes, we don't do stars, we do 1 to 5 things. I honestly have no recommendations for a rating, so whatever you guys want to do for a 1 to 5 on this.
2 very rusty Lee Enfields. That's what I'm going with.
Ooh,
Rusty Enfield.
Rusty Lee Enfield. Mine doesn't have rust on it, though.
Yours actually works, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Mitch?
I'm thinking. I'm an American, so the stuff about the Brits didn't really bother me so much. I was pretty well entertained through most of it. I'll say, I will say 3 Rusty Enfields, and then a dented magazine.
Okay.
Yep.
Jack?
I'm going to go with 4. I'm going to be gracious.
Does one of them jam a lot?
Yes.
Okay. One of them gives you rim lock.
Yeah, one of them's like the old soldier's superstition rifle where everyone who's had it dies. Much like that pair of boots from All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah.
Oh, what about this bumps us up into the 4 category for you?
I don't know. I actually like this subplot with a Dutch chick. Like, yeah, it was kind of a dick move to withhold the information, but at the same time, she wanted to save her fucking brother, right?
Yeah.
And, it didn't fucking work, but
Yeah.
worth a shot.
She was good. She never took me out of it.
Yeah, and what's-his-face saved her at the end.
For me, I don't think this is necessarily like a terrible film. There's definitely way worse films out there. It also, like I said, I'm a glider nerd, so like that really won some bonus points for me. But I found the film a little boring. Like there was multiple times I had to like recorrect myself, be like, oh, I have to watch this. I told Jack, usually when we watch foreign films, I will watch it in its original language with subtitles, because I think there's something to be said about hearing the lines the way they were actually acted when recorded, as opposed to being dubbed over. And I did the English dub on this because I was like, I don't have the fucking attention span to do this for 2 hours of reading dialogue. That being said, like, I appreciate the fact that this is in the group of films of, like, it's not All Quiet on the Western Front. Like that was a excellent film. But it's in this category of films that we're starting to see from streaming services where it's like we are bypassing, big Hollywood to produce these projects that normally wouldn't be produced. So because it's a different topic and it touches on things I like, but because I found it boring, I'm going with just like middle of the road, 2 rifles and the stock of a third. So it's like a 2.5. Just very, very middle of a road film for me.
I think you're all being very generous, but fair enough.
Yeah. He had the stiff upper lip through this review.
I I have been miraculously calm because this film just gets my goats. I mean,
Did you keep calm and carry on?
I used to have that on the wall.
He really did.
That's like your guys' We the People poster.
Basically. Oh, but not.
Jack, what does Rotten Tomatoes give this?
Right, I have that pulled up because 100% on the tomometer, 82% on the audience.
I'm sorry, fucking what?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I was surprised by that too.
What film have they been fucking watching? And where can I find it?
We sent you a bad copy. It's actually an inside joke that me and the movie industry are doing, where we just gaslight you into watching a completely different movie. This movie had everything, guys: historical accuracy, great acting, character development,
Writing.
the strong.
One actor that I can identify.
It's just...
Wow, 100%. Yeah.
Well,
What were they smoking?
you know, it's weird to me the films that Rotten Tomatoes gives 100 to, because I don't know if you've ever have seen this or knew this, but Sands of Iwo Jima starring John Wayne is also 100.
Yeah. And I remember you guys bringing that up on Battleground. Battleground episode.
It's one of those, like, it is a very important film in film history, and I like it, and I think it's a good film, but it's not 100% fucking right.
No.
Yeah, I don't think this is a good film, and it's not 100% film.
Right.
Like, it's a very meh for me.
Yeah. I think it was technically impressive and would have made a really good miniseries, like a 5 or 6 episode miniseries.
I just think it's a pile of cave shit.
Yeah.
Loose cave shit.
It just, they just should have done 2 separate films, and it would have been great. But they've flunked it.
A 2-parter. The
Anything other than what we got.
It's like Deathly Hallows 1 and 2. Deathly Antwerp and whatever.
W Island.
It's just, no, there's nothing very good I can say about this film. So, 2 stars, that's it.
Well,
2 rifles.
that has been The Forgotten Battle, a film I most certainly will forget.
There it is. So we were waiting.
Guys, it's been a blast having you. I know at the beginning you mentioned you had your own podcast, the Airborne podcast, as well as your 1944 work. If you'd like to take the time to tell the people about your different social media accounts, projects you got going on, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so you can find us on YouTube at Pursuit Picks Media, and we were actually testing out squids today for our World War II short film project, so that's why my hands are bloody, in case anyone was curious. But and then
Curious because this is an audio only podcast.
yeah, right. So thank God none of you on Spotify can see that right now. But yeah, so Netherlands 44, it's a mix of podcasts, episodes, short docs, and then we're in the process of wrapping up a short film from the American point of view towards the end of Operation Market Garden, and we're hoping to get that out. Yeah, we're hoping to get that out on in December of this year.
Sam, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I let him do all that stuff. I just turn up once a month.
I just needed, yeah, I just pay him for the angry opinions.
I made you wish. I wish.
For our listeners at home, go check out Air War Podcasts. They do some great stuff over there. Really enjoyed your guys' work on reviewing Masters of the Air.
Oh, thank you.
We're still one episode deep on that one ourselves.
For the review, not actually.
Well, yeah, I've watched it, but review wise, it kind of taken a back burner, especially with us being in the middle of our Band of Brothers Modus Real series. Which, for those listening at home, this episode, as you might have ascertained, came out a couple days after the 80th anniversary of Market Garden. And a few days after this episode is out, we will have our next bonus reel, which is episode 4, Replacement of Vanderbilt. And we'll have Blake from the airborne demonstration team returning for that episode. Tell us about his fun adventures jumping in France during the anniversary events over there. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. The stars do matter. If you want additional content from us, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Discord, unfortunately TikTok. Sam, Mitch, it's been great having you.
Thank you, guys.
No, thank you very much.
Until next time, I've been John.
And I've been Jack.
And we will see you all.
Bye.